Now, Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services.
Hi, I'm your host, Sharon McNamara, and you are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. Let me share a little bit about my background before we get started. I am the broker-owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, a boutique firm that is home to over 30 real estate sales and marketing agents who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my co-host Melissa Wallace and I will provide you with my team's unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We value the experience of our agents at Boston Connect Real Estate so much that not only will you hear my perspective on real estate topics, occasionally you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of our experienced agents at Boston Connect Real Estate. Be a part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you like to listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with me at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate. Neighbors, this is Sharon McNamara. You are, of course, listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. We are here live in our home studio at Boston Connect Real Estate, who is the sponsor of our show here. Of course, I have my sidekick and the one and only Melissa Wallace. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I think we have Tim in studio. Do we? I didn't say hello this morning.
Yeah, we do. I think he stepped away for a minute, but we do have Tim.
That's good. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. It's not a great day out, but at least it isn't raining yet. So I think that there's some rain coming our way.
I saw that there might be snow next week.
Oh, well, that's fun.
Tuesday.
That's fun.
We'll see if it actually happens. But I was talking to somebody and they said, oh, you know, it's supposed to snow on Tuesday. I said, what? Because we're going to the Red Sox game on Wednesday, and I was like, what are the odds?
Yeah, I know.
So hopefully it'll be gone by then.
Snow, go away. Oh, that's rain, isn't it? But we can let everybody know about where they can find us live.
Yeah, so we're live on Facebook and Instagram. We're live on YouTube and LinkedIn, but be sure to follow Boston Connect Real Estate on all your social media. And Sharon Costa McNamara and the McNamara Horton Group.
Yeah.
That's where we are. And we're waving. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
And you can always call in or text the studio, too. So it's going to be a fun show today. So, I mean, they're all fun, but we'll say this is our little fun baby.
Yeah. I think last week was serious. But okay.
Yeah, last week was serious, but you can call or text the studio at 781-837-4900. Again, it's 781-837-4900, and you can join in on the discussion. Yeah. Maybe you have a little story for us, because it's going to be a lot about story time today and what we learned from those stories. But yeah.
You have a lot of stories because you have all the agent stories too.
Yeah, I do. I sort of hear... If I don't hear from people, I know things are going really well. If I do hear from somebody, I know that there's a little bit of an issue and we gotta solve something. But yeah, no, I mean, you've said a number of times how many years you've been in the business, so I'm sure you have a lot of stories. But we're going to be calling this, welcome to closing day chaos. Yeah. Closing time. That's what we're saying. So real estate's most unforgettable final moments. So the final moments of purchasing a home is pretty much the closing day. And sometimes there can be some hiccups. And we're going to talk about some of those hiccups that we've experienced over the years and how we overcame them.
And I would start singing the song Closing Time. That used to be one of Mark's favorites, like Closing Time. Yeah. You know that one? But one of our...
Open up the door.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, and one of our shows got taken down.
One of our shows got taken down from 2022.
Yeah. We got a notification from Spotify. They took down the show. And what song was playing? I don't even really, I was like fast forwarding through it. I can't remember what song it was, but it was a Tuesday night show. So when we used to do the Tuesday night show, I did the show with Mary Horton, who is your team member, part of the McNamara Horton Group, and Jasmine last go from Maritime Mortgage. We were talking about mortgages. It was the end of year show, and a song played during it, and Spotify just now notified us 3 years later, oh, by the way, you can't play that song. So
they're a little behind.
Yeah, well. Well, yeah, here we go.
Here we go. So this show will be down to.
We'll let you know in 2028 that this show is no longer available.
I know. But
yeah.
One of my favorites, though. I did, Tim, just so you know, I said to Mel, I was like, oh, I think I'm going to call Tim and tell him to get that ready. And she's like, they'll take down our show. So.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if I have anything to do with it, the show's going to stay up, darn it.
We'll forward it to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
And I want to do a little sort of self commentary this morning. So I was on my way here. Mm-hmm. I got to the end of my street and I take a right, then I take a left to get here, right? And there's a set of lights there. So I look left, and I look right, I look left. I could see a truck, like it's a pickup truck. It was light blue, like sort of a blue color. He was pretty far away. Like enough time for me to think that I can safely go to get to, you know what I mean? Like get to the light and take my left. Mm-hmm. And wouldn't you know, the idiot, I'll just say it, the idiot, sees me coming. Yeah, he then decides that he has to go 90 miles an hour.
I'm going to say he mashed the gas.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
I mean, what is that all about? So then I just get up there and I pull over. I am a very courteous person when I get to a light, and I take a 90-degree turn. I don't cut the corner.
Yeah.
Mark McNamara cuts the corner. So I take a 90-degree turn, right? This guy was flipping me the bird.
Well, maybe he was involved in a medical emergency or something.
But the thing is
he flipped you the bird even though you were turning?
Yeah.
Oh, because he thought you cut him off.
He thought that I cut him off. I only cut you off. It only appeared that I cut you off,
going
sir.
90.
Because when you saw me go in front of you, you then decided to put your foot on the gas. Mm-hmm. So chill out. Life is short. All right?
Yeah.
You still got to wherever the heck you're going, right?
Let us pray.
Let us pray. During Lent.
Let's hope we did.
I don't wish any harm on him, but I did say, hey, you don't know that I will be on WATD 95.9.
Oh,
putting you on
boy.
blast.
Oh.
And
Did you get the plate number, Sharon?
Yeah. So if you have a blue pickup truck and you gave some lady
what kind
a finger.
was it? Ford, Chevy, Toyota?
It was a Ford.
Nissan?
It was a Ford.
Oh, okay.
And not
blue Ford.
only that, but I was on the phone on Clubhouse and I said something to them, and I was like, someone said, "Did you get the license plate number?" And I was like, if I wasn't running a little behind right now, I would have. But you know what? That was the old me.
But thing too, Sharon, and nothing against
20 minutes ago.
The pickup truck drivers out there, but there are some people who have pickup trucks. They're just really bad drivers.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know why,
it's not
but
just pickup trucks. I promise they're all across the board. I'm not a great driver.
Yeah.
I've popped a tire.
Yeah, but a lot of the people in pickup trucks out there, they just be careful.
Well, yeah. Well, do they think because
they think sometimes it's like a sense of invincibility or something.
Yeah. They have to prove something. By
I'm in my big truck with my big fog lights on the front. You better move over. I'm coming through, man. Come on, man.
350. That's what Mark drives. Mark has a Ford 350.
There you go.
Is it a 350 or a 250?
It's a 350. The thing is a monster. Well, he got it so he could plow the driveways and stuff.
It hasn't snowed.
It hasn't really snowed.
It hasn't really snowed since he bought it. So.
But anyways, I just wanted to say that. And I just wanted to say to him, if he is listening, I wish you a very, very good day. I wish you a good day.
Speaking of wishing, somebody's birthday was on Thursday. It was yours.
That was me.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was great. It was a great day. Yeah. It was it was a nice birthday. And the day before, you and I and Mary, we sort of took off. We went down to Marabou.
Yeah.
Marabou had a nice massage.
Yeah.
I went home. I told Mark all the things I want to add to the yard. Big rock with foot spa.
Yeah.
A solarium and a big, huge hot tub outside.
I'm sure he's very excited for that to happen.
It doesn't look like it's going
It doesn't look like it's going to happen, but at least you said it out loud.
I was like, can we put one of those solariums over the pool? Because then I could have the pool open. I might not go in my pool that often, but I like to see it.
So like an indoor pool? That sounds really hot.
I wish everybody on the air could see your face right now.
That sounds really hot,
Left
and I don't
left
advise
nostril
it.
goes up like Elvis Presley.
I don't advise it, but
Yeah.
maybe for somebody else's home, and if that's what you want, we can help you find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So getting to our topic here, so we're talking about closing day. So closing time, real estate's most unforgettable final moments. So we're going to be talking about some stories that things that have happened during closing day. So do you have sort of an unforgettable closing day that you want to start our show off with?
I do, because you just said hot. Like, that's the one I want to talk about. And I think I've talked about it in the past. And the other thing, too, is I've been meaning to ask you, do you have Jack and Diane's phone number somewhere? Because I think we should go visit him in the next couple of weeks.
Probably. I have to go through my email.
I
I'm sure
know.
Tim has sent it to me.
Yeah, okay. We have to find it. But if they're listening, they can call and give us their phone number. Not over the air. But anyways, one of my stories, because you were just saying hot, and now I'm having a hot flash. I remember it was probably, 3 years ago now. It was in June. It was hot. It was hot. Very, very hot. Hot like Haiti hot. Like really, really hot. And Mary and I think, had maybe 6 closings on this one day. So we had to divide and conquer, right? So I was like, I'll do this walkthrough. You do this walkthrough. I'll do that walkthrough, blah, blah, blah. So we're all over the place. And Mary showed up at one of the condos in Abington that we were closing. And lo and behold, the main water pipe burst going into this unit. Not like any other unit, this very unit. And water was bubbling like oil in the front yard. And Mary's like, I just don't even know what to do. And I was like, here it is, a Friday, which is another good reason why you should choose a Thursday or a Wednesday to close. Because even in the summer, things happen. Like, we'd like to do that in the winter. For the most part, we'll think about that ahead of time. Like, hey, let's do a Wednesday or a Thursday closing, because if we get snow or bad weather, it gives us a hiccup day.
Or a water main breaks.
Or water main breaks. And I just remember dripping with sweat. And then I went over there, and we ended up calling like different contractors. I mean, we're very lucky that we have a Rolodex. Do you know what a Rolodex is?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
The thing that spins.
Yeah. Wow, that's funny.
And you go like this.
Yeah, and then you find the cards in there. Yeah, let me go in my Rolodex. I would prefer a Rolodex.
I'm not that young.
I know, but I would prefer a Rolodex.
Yeah, I mean, we like paper.
And
that's why
everybody's contact is in my phone 15 times.
I know. Well, that too. And we tend to like paper, you and I.
I do. Yeah, I do like paper. If this real estate gig doesn't work out for me, I'm going to open a stationery store. I could have opened the paper store. I like that place.
Maybe you could just work there.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. So anyways, I remember just being in there, and just me and Mary, just like, we had to divide and conquer. I don't know, probably. I mean, I'm not sure if you ended up picking up some of the other things that we had to do that day, because I remember it was a really, really busy day.
Probably. I think I did something.
Yeah. So, but just, trying to get contractors on a Friday afternoon in the summer, like it was June, but it was a really hot day, and trying to get people to go there to fix the water main, like that was pretty difficult. But that was a like, oh my God, I cannot believe that this actually happened moment.
I think there's actually a picture of the two of you sitting on the stairs, just being like, this has never happened.
How did this happen?
We just have to fix it.
Yeah. I'd say for real estate agents, you just really have to be prepared, because no matter how much we prepare our clients for things happen. I would say one of the big ones too is when people, and it always tends to happen in divorce situations for some reason, that they're not prepared for that final day and that final walkthrough, that we have cleaned many a homes.
Yep. I have covered something for you guys, and I remember, thank God, they left a sponge in the sink, and because there was spaghetti sauce all over the walls in the living room, so I was washing the walls as the buyer and the buyer's agent was walking around the house, and I'm just like, oh, don't mind me, just taking off the spaghetti sauce, but things like that. Well, I don't know about the water main. I think it ended up closing. Maybe there was a holdback or something.
No, we ended up getting it fixed.
Yeah, so that was good, but things like spaghetti sauce on the wall isn't gonna cause somebody to not want to move forward and have that closing. But it's the little details like that. I know Kristen Howlett, who is a full-time realtor here at Boston Connect Real Estate, she's been on the show before with me, and she has said, even when I'm the listing agent and I'm at a final walkthrough, if I see something like, I'll clean it out. Like there was one time where, my client had, I was a listing agent. My client had already moved out and the refrigerator was a little dirty. And, during the walkthrough, I cleaned the refrigerator. I wasn't doing anything else. It was dirty and it was my pleasure to do so. And the buyer's agent was like, "Oh, you go above and beyond for your client. I would never clean a refrigerator." And she said, "Well, that's the difference between you and I."
Yeah. And not only that is I'm not doing it for my client. I'm doing it for yours.
Well, she did say that. She said, "Oh, I'm not doing it for my client. I'm doing it for yours." And probably didn't look great for the other agent, but whatever. But things like that, it's just putting the final touches on and making sure that everybody's happy on closing day, because that's the point.
Yeah.
That is the point.
And I do think too, and when you think about like some of the conversations that we have here around the office about those moments, like Kristen doing things like that, and, you think about maybe some other agents that just wouldn't be willing to do that, there was one thing that I was not willing to do, and I do remember this one. We were closing, and this was during that height of things being absolutely positively crazy, when people were like just putting offers in way over asking and blah, blah, blah. And the sad thing about that was, like, after the fact, there was almost like this buyer remorse. And like, as the listing agent, if a buyer decides to go $100,000 over asking and waive their home inspection, like, that's not on me. That's on you and your agent. Like, you're the one that made that decision. And I recall being at one house one time. It was a big colonial, and the buyers tended to take this new turn, like they were mad at me for some reason, like as if I had done something, Yeah. But I think like after they went into the house and maybe saw it vacant and things, appeared maybe different than how they were envisioning it in their house. And I will say that they were making a very emotional purchase because the market was reckless. There was no inventory. They paid over asking. I'm not saying they overpaid, but they paid a lot over asking, waived their home inspection. And I think that there was even like an appraisal contingency in there. And I think that all of it sort of built up over time, waiting to close, so that when they got to this final closing, they actually got to this final walkthrough, they got very rigid with me. Like, I didn't do anything. But they came up with, I remember him coming out to me and he was like, there is a hair. I'll just say it was a pubic hair. There was a pubic hair. I can say that, right? That's not illegal. There's a pubic hair in the shower. And I'm looking at him like, well,
what do you want me to do about it?
That sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. I was like, well, do you want me to call a cleaning lady? Because like,
yeah,
I'm not here for that.
Yeah.
If he just said,
I can't believe a grown man said that to you.
Yeah, I know. I was like, well, it doesn't bite.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, and you know what? Should have I maybe, helped clean it up? Yeah. What's the big deal, really? But it was just the attitude that he took towards me. I was like, all right. Well,
it was a different time.
It was. I feel bad for them. I was like, I didn't do anything wrong.
I remember going through a walkthrough with you. So we'll talk about things that are left behind by sellers that, they assume that a buyer would want because they loved it there or they used it there. So there was a time where you and I did a final walkthrough and we had to call for backup, aka Mary, to come and meet us. It was a house in Pembroke a few years ago. I know we were at our old office years ago. And it was a very, very hot day. And the two of us we walk through and we're like, okay, there's a rope light above the whole, kitchen cabinets. There's stuff everywhere still. Oh, we just thought that they would want that. Like these are all personal items that, and they had a planter out back that was an old toilet.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yep. Now I know where it is. Yep.
So they had used an old toilet as a planter for plants outside, which I feel like is an acquired taste.
Not even a plumber has
the
that.
buyer did not want that. And I think there was bird bath or something. Like there were other things where, we were able to get the things out of the house. There's trash bags filled of things that they just didn't want and decided to. They were already, moved out and sort of gone and on their way on to the next place. But we were like, okay, well, now it's our responsibility. We have to get rid of all this stuff. And I remember having to call even more backup for getting, the toilet and the bird bath and everything out from there.
Did Mark come over for that? Like, poor Mark.
Poor Mark.
Honestly, he has shown up at more situations. But now as I'm talking about these things out loud, I'm thinking, do we just as a team not do a good job letting people, like, setting the expectations of what stays and what doesn't? But then I'm also thinking, in my career, I've sold over 750 homes, and I guess that is, I have some stories, but not too bad.
The thing is that, if you don't ask the question, don't assume. So when it's paint or extra tile or screens for the windows and stuff like that, like ask about those things, because sometimes the buyer doesn't want them. And sometimes they do, which is great. Maybe salt for outside, a shovel or something, like, great. We'll take it. But things like, personal items, like, oh, I thought you'd like this lamp. It's like, well, no, I don't want it. Like, oh, I thought you want this, piece of furniture. No, I don't want that.
It's interesting because it sort of does go back to last week's show and talking about estate sales and selling. Like, there's such emotional attachment to everything. Like, I even go through my own house and I can't even tell you how many times I've done that purge thing. And I'm always like, oh, I wonder if somebody would want this. And it's always like, no. I ask Casey all the time, oh, would you like this? And she's like, no. Like, she doesn't have any room in her apartment and stuff anyways. But I just, I think it's that emotional attachment where the person is not only thinking, oh, maybe you could use this lamp, but they're thinking about that lamp being between the two chairs where they sat with their spouse. You know what I mean? So, but for the most part, people don't want things. And what's really, really hard right now is finding places to donate this stuff, because so many places have opted
inundated.
not to.
Yeah, they're inundated with stuff. So, it's waste.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do?
You've been in your house not even 2 years, right?
Yeah, about a year and a half.
And you're already saying I have to get a dumpster.
Yeah, because I was given things from people and I was like, yeah, great. Like, I don't have that. And after a year and a half, if I haven't used it, I'm never going to. And now, like, my downstairs, so I have a raised ranch, so I have a finished room downstairs where, like, it's just filled with, there's a love seat in there that I've never used that my cat absolutely loves. So I'm sorry, Zoe, but I'm going to have to get rid of it. Two, like, really nice chairs that I got from one of your clients in Duxbury. And I'm like, I haven't used those either. There's a kitchen table, which I really don't have room for it the way that I've set my house up. So, like, I'm going to get rid of that. And actually, my mom's going to take it. She won't let me get rid of it. But, there's just things that I accumulated where at first I was like, oh, yeah, like, that's great. I'll take it. And then now that I've lived in my space, I definitely, but I will 1,000 until forever and a day keep the one piece of furniture that the seller of my house left for me, because I love it. Yeah, because I love it. But
that thing is heavy.
The thing is heavy, so that's where it'll stay forever. Yeah.
But you're like on a street where you could put, like, tomorrow, I don't think it's going to rain. Just put it outside free.
Yeah, we thought about that for the two chairs because they are in great condition. It would be nice to, one's a really big, like, rocking chair type thing. It's like a wicker rocking chair. It's nice as a cushion. And then there's other things that, I've accumulated where I'm like, all right, it's time to let these go because I'm not using it. And it's preventing me from using that space the way that I want to, because it's just storing things that I don't want anymore. So, gonna get rid of it, clean up the basement, and we'll painted and make it the way that we want it to be. So,
Yeah.
which Ethan wants it as a man cave, which go ahead. You can have it.
Yeah, just keep cooking dinner.
Yeah, just keep cooking dinner and vacuuming.
I want to give the phone number. So if you have any questions about real estate, or you have any fun stories to tell us, or maybe not so fun stories regarding your closing day, or you just have questions like, what should I leave behind? What shouldn't I leave behind? 781-837-4900. That is the number. Tim is in studio today, and he'll be able to get your phone number. He'll be able to get you over to us, or you can send a text and he will read your text out loud if you're being a little shy this morning. 781-837-4900. Our topic today is closing time, real estate's most unforgettable final moments.
Okay, so question for you. Is there a time when a deal almost fell apart at the last second that you can remember? And how was it saved? Yeah,
that does come up a lot. And honestly, I think the hair in the shower was the final straw for him. They say the straw that broke the camel's back. Because, little things can set people off, and it matters how your transaction is going throughout the whole time. That's one of the things I love about your questions, because it helps me sort of lay the land of why would something like that happen. And I think we were talking recently just about, I don't know where I was, but I was talking recently about like that relationship that we have with other agents. It always should be a good one. Oh, I know. I was talking to Mary about it recently, because somebody at one of our closings, I have a good one. I can tell you a recent one that caused a closing not to happen. But back to this situation with, being, and this brings it in, ties it all in, being friendly or being cordial, being professional with agents it doesn't matter what color logo you are. We're all colleagues. We're all in the same industry. And I don't have competitors. We have colleagues. They wear different, color logos. That's it. But there are always agents. And I find it to be the newer agents when they get in the business. It's almost like they have to put up their peacock feathers to sort of prove that they are strong and they're fighting for their client, and I am a negotiator and all this other stuff. All that does is piss me off.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fight with you. Yeah. I'm not going to get into a battle with you. This is the way that it is, and you just better cool your jets type thing. But the thing that's unfortunate about that is I can have a very calm, cool, collected conversation with the other agent and say, unfortunately, this is what happened. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I didn't do it. I'm just giving you the information. This is what happened. Now that agent's responsibility is to go back to their buyer.
Yeah.
And it's that delivery is how really the mood of the entire transaction goes, because I could say, they're having some issues with the heating system, not exactly sure what's going on, but they are working really hard at, trying to get that taken care of before closing. Now that agent goes back and is like, well, they never told me. I had no idea that this was going to happen. Now they're tinkering with the heating system, which was never said. And then now the buyer is like, what do you mean tinkering with the heating system? It's a brand new. What do you mean? You know what I mean? Now they're edgy.
Yeah.
So that's why you just have to, the whole transaction, it isn't my side, your side, it's us together.
We're all working towards a common goal, and that is to get you to the closing table.
Yeah. So when I was on vacation a couple weeks ago, we had a closing on one of our new construction, in one of the new developments, one of the developments we had a closing, and I didn't tell everybody I was leaving. It was such a last minute decision that Mark and I did this that I didn't really feel the need to go out and tell every single person I'm going to be away, right? Because they always have you or they have Mary that they can reach. And I'm not, even if I was in another country, you can't even say that anymore. It isn't like I'm in another country and you can't get in touch with me. You can get in touch with people all the time. And, but I did make a commitment not to work while I was away. But the buyer's agent put myself and Mary on a group text, and I just sort of followed along and noticed that we didn't close. And I was like, what is going on? And what happened was the heating system stopped working.
Yeah.
Wild, right?
Yeah.
What are the chances of a brand new heating system how many of these have we already sold? Everything is exactly the same. You know what I mean? So they, you can't, when you have like new construction, like they can call the manufacturer. Obviously they called the installer first. He couldn't figure it out, and everything is electronic now. So like it makes it really difficult. I hear Mark even saying that. So then the plumber then ended up calling the supplier of the heat pump, and they couldn't figure it out. So they had to take the system out, put a brand new one in.
Yeah.
Was working okay. Bump. 24 hours later, it's not working.
Weird,
right? So now they're like, oh, is there something stuck somewhere, or what is going on? They had to bring out all kinds of like experts, but like this type of stuff takes time. Like you can't, it isn't like,
Yeah, they don't all live down the street.
Yeah. And not only that, I mean, taking out a heating system and putting in a new one, there's a lot of time and energy that goes into that. So it isn't like, okay, we're going to close tomorrow. So and we want to make sure that the system is running properly before we do close. And then the second one broke.
Weird.
Yeah. So then they opted to change it again the third time, but like with a different system. And I don't know, there's all kinds of mechanical ideas or like things that they came up with that could have been, would have been. But here's the thing, like they stand behind their product. So obviously it had to be working. So, it took 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it closed.
It closed.
Okay, good.
We closed on April 3rd, my birthday.
Woo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's good. But how weird.
Yeah.
2 that didn't work.
2 that didn't work. And the people were really, really nice. Like, and I noticed like some of the emails going back and forth, and I actually called the buyer's agent, and I was like, I don't know if you know, but like I actually injured myself, and then I was out for a week, and then I was on vacation. And he's like, oh, I you did tell me and I forgot, blah, blah, blah. He goes, I was wondering where you were, why you weren't responding. And then I was like, well, I could tell, like his tone changed. I could see it in email. So I called him and I was like, hey, I'm just checking in with you because like I can notice like sort of like a email tone with you right now. Like, is everything okay? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I was right. He did have a tone. And I think he was just frustrated and everything else, you know what I mean? But like when I went to the closing, when we did that final walkthrough, the people were so, they were great. They were really great. They were understanding. The good news is that they didn't have to be out of where they were, They're not selling their condo until they're all moved in. But they were so sweet. And afterwards, she gave me a box of chocolates from Hilliard's and just said, this wasn't originally for your birthday, but happy birthday. And just wanted to thank you for, all the time and everything that you put towards this.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So I don't know if the other agent got candy. I'm sure he did. He was great. He was a great agent.
Mm-hmm. Can you think of any time where a buyer backed out at closing? Have you had that happen to you?
Yeah, I've had that happen.
Oh.
And I don't want to say it was like the closing day that I can think of, but I have another one too about a closing day that went bad, like that didn't close on that day, but it ended up closing. But what was that question? Oh, yeah. Did somebody back out? Yeah, somebody did back out. And, the situation with that one was, I remember exactly, it was on the corner. It was on West Elm and Seltsam, which was a new development that I had with a different developer at the time that I was working with. And he bought the antique on the front part of it, and then it was a farm in the back that he developed. And it was very much last minute. I think it was the day before, or maybe it was the day of. I'm going to sneeze. I'm sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you. I wish we had one of those buttons.
A mute button.
Yeah, like you can just press it.
Excuse me, we're sneezing.
Yeah. But yeah, they decided, I think it was day of closing. I remember the agent I was working with too, and she was great. And she's like, oh my God, I don't know what happened. They were from Connecticut. They were going to buy this. And so it ends up being one of those things where, okay, you don't want to go forward. I mean, can you force somebody to buy a house? I'm not actually sure that you can, but your deposit is at risk. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the deposit, the seller did not have to do it. He could have, fought and kept the entire deposit, but he kept half and gave half back to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. They had a change of heart, change of mind. I don't even think the buyer's agent fully understood why that happened.
Yeah. So did it sell to somebody else?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But think about the time that went into that. I mean, and I feel like probably at that time, your closing timeline was longer than it is now. Mm-hmm. So you were looking at 45 to 60 days, probably at that time.
Yeah.
So imagine going 60 days under agreement with somebody, and then it gets to closing and you're like, yeah, no.
Yeah. And not only that, I mean, it was an antique home and very, very antique. And that is that is definitely a demographic that isn't just, it isn't like a 4-bedroom colonial, you know what I mean? It's,
it's a particular buyer.
Absolutely. And, it's so funny because, I love antiques. I absolutely positively love antiques. I love being in them. I love everything about them. There is a part of me that feels that house didn't want that first buyer.
Yeah.
That's
I'm sure.
truly how I feel.
Maybe they got scared. They were spooked.
Maybe they were spooked. Yeah, I don't even know that I ever even met them. I might have met them once through the whole thing because they were in Connecticut and things like that. But
well, maybe they're still in Connecticut.
Yeah,
they didn't want to come here. That's fine.
Some things happen.
How about, have you ever acted as a therapist on closing day?
Is that really a question?
Yeah, I just asked it.
Yeah, many a times.
Many a times.
Well, and here's the thing too is, we talked a little bit about this last week, and I would love to have, a therapist on the show with us to talk about, all the emotions that go along with, buying and selling a home. Because for every stage of life, there's excitement, there's disappointment, there's, tragedy, there's all kinds of things that go along with it. But I think that there are times when you do have to be a therapist, and like things that do happen. I do remember another house that I had. He was actually a friend of mine, and he was selling his house. He was actually had his real estate license for a little bit and worked with us. And when his house was selling, it was 2 weeks before closing. And this was probably 5-6 years ago. It was 2 weeks before closing, and the buyer lost his job.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at that point, it is extremely devastating because your house is basically packed up. You're ready to go. And I know that it's easy for a seller to be mad at me as your listing agent, but like I have zero control over somebody's employment. And I don't want to do this all over again either.
Yeah.
But those things happen. And, 2 weeks before closing, that's really a tough one. And it's hard to, swallow that one. But we were able to get it back under agreement. And that's the thing that, I'm always keeping people's information that showed the property, that showed interest in the property, if there were multiple offers on the property. Because as soon as I get notice of that, I'm already calling all of those people and saying, hey, this transaction, unfortunately, they lost their job. So it is going to be coming back on the market. Is your client still available? I mean, that is the back end work that I think that other clients probably don't see or understand what we're doing on the back end. But then, we have times where like new construction, right now the tech industry is taking a really big hit with employment and pharmaceutical. And we've had 2 people down at Cushing Trails that were in the process under purchase and sales agreement, and they have lost their jobs.
Yeah.
One was pharmaceutical and one was tech. And, in some situations, I'm like, you're better to find out now than later.
Right.
Like that would be really sad to me. Like even that first example, it was 2 weeks from closing. I was not happy for my seller, but I am human. So I felt comforted for the buyer, because imagine being in a brand new home and losing your job the week after.
Yeah. So for the 2 that are going into Cushing, are they no longer moving forward?
One is not. So that one was right back, right in like November, right when Mary went on maternity leave. So that one happened. But we got that unit under agreement again. It's so different in new construction. It's like you can sort of bounce back a little easier.
Yeah.
And there's no emotions involved in it, which is probably one of the reasons why I love it so much. You know what I mean? The other one is currently in a situation, and the buyer's agent is actually one of our agents, and she's doing a great job of just sort of keeping them positive and keeping them, they're still in it while he's looking for another job.
Okay.
So,
but he's moving forward.
He's moving forward as of today. Yeah. But the thing is if somebody doesn't have their job, you know, I can.
How do they get a mortgage?
Yeah, they can't. So that's how they would end up. So, like with the one that was 2 weeks before, I can hear sellers that are probably in the process right now, like holding their breath, like, oh my God, like, yeah, he already had his commitment letter, right, for that closing. However, the banks are verifying up until the day of closing your employment.
Well, I remember when the bank called here to verify my employment, and I answer the phones. So they're like, I'm like, you know, welcome to Boston Connect Real Estate. This is Melissa. How can I help you? She's like, is this Melissa Wallace? I said, it is. Oh, this is so-and-so from Bangor. Is there someone else I can speak to verify your employment? I go, me answering the phone wasn't enough for you.
I was just going to say.
I just happened to be driving by and I heard the phone ringing and I just ran inside. No, I'm like,
I asked Sharon if I could just like sit here. I got to tell you a story though. When Mark and I got engaged, we had given, and by we, I mean Mark, he had $13,000 we had given to a builder. And I have told this story before, and the builder ended up leaving us and we had nothing. And so Mark is 5 years older than I am. So, I went to Catherine Gibbs, you know, secretarial school, and I was just like, and I was I was just getting like my first jobs and stuff, executive assistant. And I remember where I was at that job, like I was at that job, and so that's sort of a little bit fast forward, but I was at this job, but this person left and we had nothing, right? So we lived with my in-laws, which was great. That was not a bad experience at all. And we were able to save up, I remember $5,000. We were rolling pennies and, you know, just all the things, selling suits to consignment shops. And we were able to save up $5,000, and we're in the house that we're in right now. And I remember where I was working, my boss, he was actually, it was entrepreneurial. It was when cell phones first came out. And he was moving on to his own venture, but the company found out before he was able to do like a good strategy out. And so he was actually let go. And when he was let go, I was there when there were 15 people in this company. And now it was over 150 people in this company. So I was sort of like the person who managed all the floor and made sure everybody was where they had to be. And we moved offices and all this stuff. I was next on the chopping block. Like they knew how close we were. We were friends because we spent so much time together. I remember on Fridays having, you know, tequila shots in, you know, the corner office at the Peru. That was a lot of fun. I don't think bosses can do that type of stuff anymore.
Well, we go to the spa.
Yeah. But they did pull me, the president pulled me into his office, and I was sobbing. I was like, I know why I am here. I fully understand that. I was like, can you please just keep my employment until I close on my house? I'm closing in like 1 month because I won't be able to buy this house if I'm not working. And again, I knew these people really well. They knew I wasn't going to do anything. And they were like, well, we're going to be downgrading you. We'll keep you. But if we hear that you are having conversations with him, that you're giving him any of the information, blah, 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 we will terminate you immediately. And I said, I promise. So I had to beg to keep my job just so that when the bank called, I could still get that. So they were very lenient with me. It was interesting because my boss then became someone who reported to my boss. And his secretary was then like, I was underneath even her. Like they put me at this, like, you know what they did? They gave me boxes of paper that meant nothing because I knew what everything was, and just made me sit in front of the shredder and shred things.
Oh.
That's what I did all day.
You shredded paper?
I just shredded paper, useless paper.
Now look at you. You got a house.
Yeah, well, I'm still in the same house, but, you know, those things can happen, and you never know when they're going to happen. So keep your employment.
Yeah, we only have a couple minutes left.
Really?
Any unusual items left behind in a house that you've known?
Well, I saw that on your list, and we've had weird, strange things many a times. But I do remember one time with, I think it was Michelle Fay, full-time real estate agent here at Boston Connect Real Estate. Yeah, when she called and said, I don't know what to do with all these guns.
Yeah. I think something's happened with Matt Mahoney too, who's a full-time realtor here at Boston Connect.
With guns?
I think guns were left at one of his, or he was a buyer's agent and there were guns in the ceiling or something.
Yeah.
Him too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, don't touch them.
Don't touch.
Don't touch them.
Don't touch.
Don't put them in your car.
Just
bring them
call
to the police
police.
station. Just call the police station.
They'll come.
Let them take them or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't even think that the original owner knew that they were there. So
I'm envisioning a video. So somebody here has a video of the police coming in and like taking them out of the I was gonna say attic, but it was in the basement. Like it was a drop ceiling basement or something, and they took it out. So how do you forget that?
Yeah. I don't. Geez. Well, and the person might have deceased. You know what I mean?
Possibly.
So, but this isn't a closing day thing. But I remember our move-in day here.
Yeah.
So when we closed, I mean, Mark and I were here an hour later after closing with a big sledgehammer, taking, walls down and doing our renovation. So we did the renovation in like 30 days so we could move in because we were in where we were renting. And I remember that was another hot day. Remember, we moved in June. We closed in May.
Hot.
We moved in June.
It's hot enough for people to fight on the front lawn.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, good.
So I'm like, I won't say the name of the company because it is a very, very good company, moving company that we used to move all of our stuff. And I remember somebody was driving by and he called and he's like, "Hey, is everything okay over there?" I was like, "Yeah, everything's great." Like,
I had left to go get pizzas for everybody. To say thank you so much for helping us move.
Yeah. And there was a literal fist fight on our front lawn.
Yeah.
With police.
Two of the guys that were from the company that we hired to help us move. For some reason, they had the quarrel on the front lawn for the whole town to see. And I was like, anybody, would you like pepperoni or sausage and onion?
I go out and I'm like
what is happening? It was so hot.
And
then we were just like, okay, it's time to leave now. So it happens to us too.
Yeah, it does.
We have closing days that are, not so great too.
Yeah. And I remember talking to the person who was our contact person there. I think that they actually got mad at us for some reason because then they stopped like coming around, and I don't know why. Because I think
it's an embarrassment thing.
Yeah, but they told me that they were wrestling. Oh, they weren't really fighting; they were wrestling. I was like two grown men on a 89, 90 degree day in the middle
where we felt tension anyways.
Yeah, moving us. Yelling and screaming because our boxes were heavy. Like it's a house. It's not a house. It's an office, like with paper. And they were wrestling.
Yeah, no,
that is not how it happened.
Just about a minute left. Any final thoughts about closing day? Some things that we've overcome before I do open houses.
No, I just think, if you are thinking about selling, just start purging, you know what I mean? Just get it done, get everything out of there. We've done shows in the past too, like, do I leave my curtain rods? What if I want my curtain rods? What about the, the TV and, you know what I mean? All those, what is considered attached to the house? Because people would be very surprised to know that the bracket is attached to the house, so it should stay, but the TV is not attached to the wall. The TV is attached to the bracket. Yeah. So you can take the TV, but you should leave the bracket. But if you're taking the bracket, you now have to fix the holes.
Yeah.
I have many of those.
The Grady team have a brand new listing, 49 Waterford Drive in Hanover. They are going to be there from 11 to 1 today. That is on the market for $1,374,900.
And I do want to mention that has a first floor primary a second floor primary. So this is really nice for multi-generational.
Yes. Team Flynn have 2 Fontana Way in Bridgewater. They are there today from 10 to 12. That's on the market for $1,075,000.
New construction.
Faith Birmingham is going to be at 85 Summit Street in Halifax today, 11 to 1. That's on for $995.
In-law.
And Sharon and Mary, of course, have Cushing Trails and Cochise Estates every single Saturday and Sunday.
I'm going to be at Cushing today from 10 to 12. Mary will be over at Cochise in West Bridgewater from 10 to 2. And I actually got invited to a house blessing today. So
very nice.
Someone who closed on Thursday, they invited me to their house blessing. So after my open house, I'll be visiting them and then doing some CMAs for some of our clients.
Perfect. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We'll see you next Saturday.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day. Bye, Tim.
Bye-bye.
The most of this beautiful day, since we're